Note: varies by jurisdiction. Note: varies by jurisdiction. A mass stabbing is a single incident in which multiple victims are harmed or killed in a knife-enabled crime. In such attacks, sharp objects are thrust at the victim, piercing through the skin and harming the victim. Examples of sharp instruments used in mass stabbings may include kitchen knives, utility knives, sheath knives, scissors, samurai swords, screwdrivers, bayonets, axes, machetes and glass bottles. Knife crime poses security threats to many countries around the world. There are many different factors causing mass stabbing. This may include social inequality, abuse of alcohol and drugs, easy access to weapons, social and cultural norms, religious and political reasons, among others. Many actions have been taken to address mass stabbing and knife crime. This may include enacting new legislation, social and education programs, medical interventions, among others. However, mass stabbing and similar terrorist attacks carried out by Islamic extremists have resulted in rise of Islamophobia. Examples of mass stabbing cases include the 2014 Kunming attack, the 2016 Sagamihara stabbings, the 2017 London Bridge attack, and the 2019 Kawasaki stabbings. Mass stabbing can be defined from a number of different perspectives. The Oxford English Dictionary defines the verb stab as an action that propels a pointed weapon with the intention of harm or murder. A mass stabbing is an incident involving the use of pointed weapons to wound or kill multiple people. Mass stabbing can be looked at from the scope of knife crime. Based on a publication by the Parliament of the United Kingdom, knife-enabled crime is an incident where harm is threatened or caused with the use of bladed weapons. The media also refers knife crime as a stabbing incident or the illegal possession of knives by a person in the public. From a legal perspective, the phrase mass killing can be used to define mass stabbing. Based on Section 2 of the Investigative Assistance for Violent Crimes Act of 2012 of the United States of America, which is signed into law and published by the U.S. Congress on 13 January 2013. Mass killing is an individual occasion with 3 or more people murdered. Mass stabbing can also be looked at from the perspective of mass murder. The Federal Bureau of Investigation of the United States of America has defined mass murder as an incident where 4 or more people are killed in a single incident on a continuing basis without any significant time period in between each of the murders. A World Health Organization report states that past victimization is one of the risk factors causing violence. Children and young people with adverse experience are particularly prone to being perpetrators or victims of violence. Abuse of alcohol is another risk factor that causes people, particularly young people, to involve in violence such as knife crime. Research by WHO found that the incidence of violence was higher in countries with greater ease of access to alcohol. Similarly, drug abuse is another possible cause of knife crime. Illicit drug trade has been linked to the increasing incidence of knife crime. Examples of drugs that are particularly linked to acts of violence include tobacco, cocaine and amphetamines. WHO has also stated that there is a strong correlation between violence and social inequality and deprivation. The larger the differences in income between the high-income group and the low-income group, the higher the incidence of homicides. Another factor that may have led to knife crimes and violence among young people is the social and cultural norms in the environment they are exposed to. This may be due to the exposure of young people to violent behavior of family members, friends or other members of society, which lead them to think that acts of violence are normal and acceptable. This group of people may have been exposed to various contents containing different forms of violence in the mass media, which may have affected the behavior of the young people. Spreading of religious extremism by terrorist groups, such as Al-Qaeda and Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, may be another cause of mass stabbing. Both terrorist groups used publications such as Darbikov as an inspirer of Al-Qaeda to propagate the ideologies of the organizations and demonize their opponents, particularly the Western democracy and their values. The terrorist organizations have encouraged their followers to launch attacks with knives because it is a cheap and easy method which is difficult to be detected by authorities but yet capable to cause great harm to the general public. Political reasons may be another cause of mass stabbing. Various studies have been conducted by scholars and researchers to examine the relationship between political repression and terrorism. In general, there is a lack of consensus on the relationship between repression and violence. Some studies argued that political